All right, we are back for another hour and 15 minutes of from idea to manuscript to masterpiece. Okay, and I'm Sharon Elliott. I'm still Sharon Elliott, and we're going to be moving along through the rest of the book proposal, and then we are getting to the magic of writing your book. You will not want to miss the rest of this workshop. And then, of course, we meet once again tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to go back to the PowerPoint that we were looking at. We were actually looking at my book proposal, but now that you've seen the book proposal, I want to go back to the PowerPoint and go through the rest of the points or the rest of the sections, okay, that need to be filled in. One question that did come up in the agent panel was, what if there are different templates that publishing companies are asking for, right? Do I have to do a new proposal for every publishing company? And the answer is not necessarily. There are some publishing companies who, can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Yes. There are some publishing companies that are very ticky about how their proposal has to be turned into them. It has to say these particular sections in this way. And so if you are able to send your proposal and you don't need an agent, then you would need to follow those guidelines. And the good thing is I'm showing you all the different sections. So all that you would have to do is to look at their proposal template and, you know, move things around, right? Or call it something else. But I'm teaching you each thing they're going to ask you. Is that clear? As much, but that's clear, right? Okay. If you have an agent, most of the time the publisher will take our template because they know that we've put everything in there and we don't have to rearrange it around, right, for that particular publisher. Okay, so we were talking about the audience, and the primary audience are those people who the book is written for, right? So it's written for, let's say you're writing a children's book for kids ages 3 to 7. It's written for kids ages 3 to 7, right? That is the primary audience. But then the secondary audience is the people who are going to buy the book for that audience, all right? And you are marketing the book to those people as well. So the secondary audience for that children's book is obviously the parents. It's grandparents, all right? It is preschool and early and kindergarten, early elementary teachers, and etc. Right? So the second, if it's an adult book, same thing. Who is it primarily for? Primary audience. And then the secondary audience are the people buying the book for those people. So for any Christian book, pastors are always in the secondary audience because they recommend books to their congregants, hopefully. Christian counselors might be in that secondary audience, right? If the book relates to whatever they're talking about. So that's the idea. You're going to include a section on felt need. You have heard me say that. I will beat it in the ground. I will put it up on banners. This is important, right? Why are those people going to buy this book? You must be in the head of your readers, all right? So to write this section, become the person in the primary audience. And now think like that person. what does that person need? What is the pain that this book is fixing, right? What is the itch that this book is scratching? Whatever metaphor, right, works. Okay, become that audience member. If you do not know, all of you who were here on the first day, you know about a focus group, right? You start asking people in the primary audience if they were going to read a book about, then fill in the blank, what would they need in that book? And then write down what they say, or give them a sticky note and let them write it down. And then you take that and you go, well, I asked, right? And this audience needs this. So what are their motivations? So you're going to write a paragraph explaining, gotta keep moving these pictures out the way, explaining what the reader is feeling that makes him or her pick up and buy this book. Okay. And then also for audience, you're going to list the affinity groups. Those are groups of people who already exist, organizations that already exist that would be interested in your book. Okay. So if you're writing a book on healing and you are you've been healed of breast cancer, then you're going to list the breast cancer groups down here because you want the marketing department to contact, the bazillion people in, the National Cancer Society or whatever, right? Or Susan G. Komen, right? Okay, so that's affinity groups. Okay.
And I have a question regarding the affinity groups.
Yes.
For instance, you had delayed the publishing of your own book because Dr. Dobson had his publishing first. We, especially in the Christian, in the spiritual realm, okay, I'm not getting really preachy or spiritual here, but in the spiritual realm, sometimes there's a wave of a certain thing, certain manner that the Holy Spirit works, where there's other churches and other organizations that are hearing that same message, and the Holy Spirit dynamic takes the Christians in a particular area, if I can say that. So that will be a lot of the conversations that are taking place. It's like, oh, this pastor was just teaching that, or this, this platform was just sharing the same thing. And we kind of hear somewhat of the same theme, depending on what the Holy Spirit is wanting to teach us, what the Lord is showing us. So when I think of the affinity groups, that's what comes to mind, that sometimes that happens, especially for Christian, when I'm reading Christian books, and there seems to be similar themes. So I know that you delayed your book and it worked for you and it was great. And that's what, and that's based on your expertise and your experiences. For someone, let's say such as me, who, I can tell you there's a few things that I've read online, and I think, Jessica, that was your situation too, where, oh my goodness, those were my words, or I said those same words, and it's not that I've read them before, but it just seems to be something that is familiar to what's happening to the world around us right now. What do you say about that regarding the affinity groups?
You're talking about trends.
Trends. Thank you so much.
Okay.
One word, trends.
Right. But that's different.
Okay.
From affinity groups. And those, I talked about that really in the agent panel. Trends, if it's a trend today, it's too late for you to write about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And remember, it takes maybe 2 years, 1 to 2 years, for a book to be accepted by a publishing company before the public sees it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the Holy Spirit was all over it because we didn't know it was a trend.
Right.
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 It came out with, oh, okay.
Yes.
So if you write about it now, you're too late.
Right.
Because it's going to take a year for you to write the book and another year or two for it to come out. And what? Right. So the answer to that is don't write to trends.
Okay.
Right. You pray
Yes.
about what you're supposed to write about. Yes, you're paying attention to the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You are paying attention to what's going on. You are. Right? You're paying
Yes.
attention to, again, those felt needs, because those felt needs are right now.
Yes.
Okay. But forget about trying to write to a trend. That's just, you can't do it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Next. Right. So this is kind of what the audience page would look like. Perhaps. Audience, you have your primary audience. You might have several lines that discuss who those people are, right? Their demographics, maybe, whatever. And then the secondary audience, by virtue of the fact that a primary audience is what it is, the secondary audience will probably be longer. We'll have more points and bullet point those things. There might be a tertiary audience. So for my Power Suit book, The Armor of God Fit for the Feminine Frame, my tertiary audience was women in the military because they wear uniforms, right? And they fight or what have you, see? So that was another separate thing. And I got to speak at the Naval Academy about that book. That was awesome. To the cadets, or I think they're cadets there. But anyway, it was awesome. Okay. Felt need, there it is again. You're going to have to write a paragraph that explains why this is a felt need, why what you're writing about is a felt need of the audience. Okay. And this is going to pull you out of what you want to write. I need to get your head to take on that new paradigm, right? Think I'm writing for what my audience needs, not I'm writing what I need to write. God will give you what you need to write as you focus on what the audience needs. Okay. Sometimes when you're writing a memoir, especially, you might just need to write and get that all out of you. And maybe that's not even supposed to be published. Okay. But what God's done for you is what the book is going to really be about, because God can do those things for everybody. But your specific circumstance was for you. Okay. So felt need. Why do people need it? All right. This is what maybe the affinity group list might look like. Readers of books by, subscribers to certain magazines, right? In my case, since I'm African American, all right, it matters that I'm African American. Okay, and I can use that as part of telling the marketing team how to reach African Americans as well as other people, right? If you're Asian American, if you're Hispanic American, what I'm saying is whatever you have going for you, use that card, right? Every single, whatever it might be, right? So you're a mom of twins. Let's say maybe that has something to do with your book, and you can put that into your, proposal. Now my book's for women. I'm a baby boomer, right? I'm on the youngish side of the baby boomers, but I'm a baby boomer. And we are still a huge, group in society, and we are the book buying group in society. So trust and believe, I'm going to mention that I'm a baby boomer and I'm writing about baby boomer stuff. All right. So you use everything you have. If you're a veteran, right, you mention it and you talk about how this is important for other veterans as well. So everything. Okay. From your author cards, you're going to draft your bio. I talked about including your your publishing history. If you have not published anything or had anything published, you just don't mention this. You don't write your bio, all the great things and education and all that you've had, and then go author publishing history, and then write none. Don't do that. Right? Just leave it out. Okay. This is in red because it's that important. Marketing strategy. What do you plan to do to help sell this book? What are your ideas for marketing? Okay. If you're going, I don't know, I don't even know, then you need to ask somebody, right? Get with someone, get with somebody like me, right? Book developer, let's toss it around. I can give you some ideas and come up with wild stuff, but stuff that you would actually do. Okay.
What about with the author publishing history? What if you've published stuff for work? Do you put that in there at all?
Was it published in the
like I did when I was a technical writer? So
Mhm.
would I put stuff like that in there?
But was it like published, say, in a journal
No,
of your
no.
You're looking for published stuff.
How about if
Okay.
you were
That's
published
the
in the
issue.
newspaper?
Deborah?
Yes. So what if you wrote something that was published in a newspaper, or you won a contest? Yes. Okay.
The point here is if something was published somewhere, that means you can write publishable content.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Yes,
Right.
but a technical writer, their book is published by the company they work for. So if they're writing for computer software, if they're writing for hardware, it's published by that company because it's being sold with their product.
So that's why I was asking, was that published somewhere?
Yeah, it's work for hire, but it's still being published and being read by consumers.
Okay.
So yeah, that would count.
All right.
Okay.
I did that too for 10 years.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Are we good? Okay. Okay. So your marketing strategy, the publishing companies need to know that you are a partner, that you are not just going to give them your proposal and say, okay, sell it. Right. That those days are gone. I'm sorry. Right. But they're gone. And this is why your platform is important. Right. Okay. Jessica.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. Nedra, you're next. Jessica.
Hey, so just tossing around the idea, but something I've definitely been considering. And would this be something to put in that might, especially if someone doesn't have a great platform, and I know that's really sometimes even more important than the writing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I'm not certain about this, but just the idea that what if the writer wanted to purchase like 1,000 or 2,000 books, which I know is a lot. But what if they felt called to do that because that's how much they believed in the project, that they would go to, for instance, if it was something that they could go to churches that they had a lot of affiliations with, which then maybe word of mouth came. So anyway, the backstory doesn't matter. But if that was something that they were serious about, let's just put it in this range, 500 to 1,500. Let's do that.
Okay.
Would that be something to actually put in that the writer is willing to purchase at whatever cost they would sell it at?
Okay, you are going to be expected
to do that anyway.
to sell your books when you go speak somewhere.
Right.
Gotcha. So you have a speaking ministry and you are going to these different places, right? Yes. Gotcha. You're going to obviously always have a book table.
Gotcha.
So that
so
goes in
to do that anyway.
That goes in your proposal when you talk about yourself and what you are and what you do. But there's always a catch, isn't there? Huh. Here's the catch. Books that you buy yourself do not count in your numbers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the numbers, when they say, oh, this book is a bestseller, this book has sold so many copies.
Sure.
The books that you buy yourself,
in order to sell, even though they get sold by somebody else and they buy it, it still doesn't matter.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So how you counteract, but you get more money per book.
Wow.
When you buy wholesale and sell retail.
Right.
So you need to make a decision how to do that. Now, here's a way around that. Have the organization purchase the books.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And have them there. You're signing them, but you're not selling them.
Gotcha.
So you are not getting that wholesale retail thing. How you're getting money from that is in your royalties.
Gotcha. But it also counts as a sell count.
Those count
as
being
sold. Wow, that's really good information. Wow. Because I had this. Oh, wow. That's good. Thanks.
Yeah. And so, you just kind of make up your mind, if you need some money like right now in your pocket, because you're not going to get your royalties, you might get those quarterly or sometimes twice a year. So you need money in your pocket because you're selling books. Well, then sell books. Mm-hmm. Right. But that means you're picking book boxes up, or, UPS is bringing boxes and then you're taking them with you where you go. If you're traveling to, like I'll be going to the ASA conference in August. And if I were taking books with me, I already know where I'm going. I'm knowing where I'm staying, right? I could have the book shipped there, right? I fly Southwest. I'm not ashamed of it. You know why? Because I get to check bags free. Right? So one of those bags will probably be full of books, but only 25 pounds worth of books. And books are heavy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I can have UPS send the books to the hotel. Mm-hmm.
But you don't purchase them,
right?
I
purchased those books.
Oh, but you don't get counted as how many you sold.
Right.
Right. But, and not that it's about the count, but if you were to do a large, you might want the churches to then do it because that could.
But it is about the count.
Wow.
So it is, it's both, right?
Wow.
So you just have to kind of decide. That was a good question and a good conversation.
Thanks for answering it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So marketing strategy, potential endorsers, right? You want people to endorse your book. Yes, you want your friends to endorse the book, and you want your friends to write reviews. That is very important, right? If they buy the book, let's say they buy the book on Amazon, they can go on Amazon and write a review. Amazon is very particular, and they will not publish a review from somebody who didn't buy the book from Amazon. That's really... we were very upset when they stopped doing that. But anyway, There are other places to put reviews. You could put reviews on Goodreads and on christianbook.com, and there's other places to put reviews as well as Amazon. But you want reviews and you want endorsers, people who will endorse the book. Be sure that you know the endorser and the endorser knows you. Okay? You do not put down that you can get an endorsement from, I don't know, name somebody in, big in ministry. Let's say TD Jakes, right? Ooh, he's going to endorse my book. You don't know him and he don't know you. All right? So you don't put that down. It has to be people who have a circle that's outside of your circle, and their circle will do what they ask them to do. That's the idea, right? So I know a pastor, actually, he's one of my clients, right? He's a pastor of a 10,000 member church in Texas, right? Right? I'm going to ask him if he will endorse my book. All right? He can tell me no. I always tell him, you can tell me no. Fine. Right? But you want to get people who have a circle outside of your circle to endorse your book. All right. And then I gave another hint in another class already. I don't know if you were all there, so I'll say it again. To write a foreword for your book, you want somebody, if you can, you want to get someone who is also published and well published. Because if you can get a well published person to write your your foreword to the book, when people look their books up, they will see your book because that person wrote a foreword for it. So that's a little insider
Sharon,
hint.
Sharon, how well do you have to know a person? Like if you met somebody and had a conversation and you shared your book, is that enough to say that you know that person? Or
Do they know
would
you?
have to have a
Did you
long-
just, right, Erin, did you just walk up to them, hi, I'm an author too, kind of shook hands and they autographed their book and gave it to you? No, you don't know them and they don't know you.
I was thinking of if I quoted somebody else in my book and then or wanted to and approach them that way and say, I read your book, I thought it was wonderful, I wanted to use it in my book. And so then they would want to know what my book was about, maybe. So that kind of conversation?
Yeah, it's about a relationship.
Okay.
That's the thing. Even if it's a distant relationship, it's about a relationship with that person. Like not just a conversation we had one time. Okay. All right. Moving right along. Come on. All right. Draft an explanation or a bulleted list for each of the following concerning your manuscript. All right. The current status. So for a nonfiction book, you could say, this book is completely storyboarded and the first 3 chapters are completed. What is the current status of the manuscript? What is the completion date? For nonfiction books, if you have written the first 3 chapters, how long did it take you? Do the math. All right. I suggest that, let's say if you have a 10-chapter book and you've written the first 3 chapters, and then of course you have used my method that I'm going to teach you in just a few moments to fully outline the book, it should not take you longer than 6 months to finish the book. So you could say, or 9 months. Okay, let's make it a pregnancy, because it really is. Right? I can finish my book in 9 months of signing the contract. That kind of thing. Your anticipated word count, again, do the math. How many words in each of my 3 chapters divided by 3 times how many chapters I have gives you the anticipated length. of the book. If there's a biblical foundation, if the book is based on a particular passage of scripture, then you would include that. Not just if you have some verses in the Bible. That's not the point. If the book itself is based on a particular, like I said, passage or something, you would put that in the book. And then what is the format of the book? Is the book written in chapters? Is it written in sections? Is it written with activities? Like, what's happening? How is it put together? And these are just bulleted answers.
I also, what is the normal like length for like a nonfiction or for others who might write fiction? What would you say is the span?
Fiction is usually longer.
Okay.
Than nonfiction. And look at your market guide to see, or online, to see what the companies want, right? You are not going to be satisfied with a book that's less than 30,000 words. It's not going to look like a good, paperback. It's going to look flimsy to you if there's less than 30,000 words. Okay. I tend to write between 35 and 60, like that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. The format, so this is what that format page would look like. Something like this. What the bulleted points might look like. Your book will probably be paperback. It probably won't be hardback. Those books cost a lot of money. And your average price of a book is now, say, between $14 and $16. You see a lot of self-published books pricing out at $25. That's too much for a paperback book. Okay, anyway. All right, and then you would draft an explanation for, now your market research. This is very important that you do this. Okay, we're at 34. Okay. Okay, we go until 2:15, 5:15 for you, 2:15 for me. Okay. Look for books that are like your book, that are out there published. All right. Do not say, there are no books written like this. What that means is you did not do your research. Okay, trust me. Somebody else has written a book on the subject. You are writing from your slant, which is fine. Okay. So you're going to go into Amazon.com. You can use christianbook.com, but Amazon just happens to be the place where, everybody looks. And so you're going to type in some keywords about the theme of your book and see what comes up. And you might have to use several different, phrases or what have you. And then you're going to literally, read through, okay, what is this book? You read the paragraphs that they give you, a description of the book. You look to see when it came out. You are looking for books that are 5 years, no more than 5 years old. Okay. And you are then going to list in your proposal, you're going to write about each of these books. Don't buy the book. The description is right there on Amazon, right? Only buy the book if it's one of my books. Now, I want you to buy it though. I'm just saying. Okay, but anyway, I digress, right? Read the paragraphs, But don't just copy and paste the paragraphs, because those paragraphs are written to sell that book, right? You're just going to take out of that paragraph what the book is about. All right. And then, that comes second. First, you will include the title, the author, the ISBN number, and the publisher and the publication date. Author, well, let me say it again. Title, author, I have it on the slide. Okay, title, author, publisher, publication date, price point. I started to leave the price off, that doesn't matter so much. ISBN number, and a brief description of the book. All right. Someone turned in a proposal to me that had, the picture of the book. They had copied and pasted the picture of the book. That was kind of cool. You can do that too. Just copy and paste it. And then you must answer the question, how is this book the same? And how is this book different from your book? All right.
I have a question.
Yes, Deborah.
So you were saying that someone took a picture of the copy of the book, but of someone else's book?
These books, these competition books.
Well, is that copyright infringement though?
No.
It's not, okay.
You're just putting the picture of the book next to the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharon,
Yes. Nedra.
is this just one book that we are going to do?
As
Or
many as you can find.
okay,
So you might have 10 or 15 in this list.
okay.
I think what she was thinking is that we're not using it in our advertising. We're using the picture just for
this list.
Right.
Yeah. We're just using the picture just for this list.
Right.
Right. It was a pretty proposal. Right. So,
Got it.
right.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. No. Okay. So so we're going to switch over now. I wanted to say one more thing. Okay. On that competitive list, for example, when I finally did do a proposal for raising boys to be like Jesus, right? I think it was about 5 years later. And here's the thing about that book. It did not change. It was the same book, but here's the other thing. That at the time when Dr. Dobson's book came out, my boys were little. Right? And I'm saying, raise them to be like Jesus, right? I didn't have the track record as the author to say that these things would work. All right, so that 5 years or however much it was, my boys grew up, they were still living for Jesus, right? So now, when I did use my boys as examples, right, I can say, yes, and these principles, they actually work, right? So that was another thing I could tell the publishing house. Mm-hmm. Okay. So interesting. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong when they were little. I knew they would work. Right? But when they grew up and they kept working, then that gave me as the author more credibility also. And when I did that list of books, here's what I found. The majority of the books written about raising boys were written by men. Okay.
The least, right?
Huh? And so that made it was different that here was a woman, right? The other book that I found at the time that was written about raising boys was about troubled boys. That's a whole different thing, right? And then my book was not about raising boys to be men. It was raising boys to be like Jesus. That's different, right? Now, it was more than 5 years since Dr. Dobson's book came out, but that book was a classic book. So you had to include it. I had to include it, right? If you find there's a book that's a classic in your area, then you're going to have to include it. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to list it last. Okay? It's called Psychology and Strategy. All right? So you're not hiding the fact that, yeah, Dr. Dobson wrote a book about raising boys. Yeah. Right? But we're going to list that last now. Okay. All righty. Now I want to take you to the magic. I'm so excited about this. All right. So first, give me a second to close out the other PowerPoint and open the one we're going to deal with. Close out. Here we go. Okay, so wait a minute. There. Now I want to share. Ah, this is so amazing. If you have the handouts, you want to turn to the one that says, just say toxin up. So it's this one. If you don't have the handout, I'm a good teacher and you'll be able to follow. Okay, and you have the PowerPoint. All right, so now we're going to get into, well, you'll see. Toxin up is a word that I made up, and as writers, we do that. TOC stands for table of contents, and synop stands for chapter synopsis. So we are going to use the table of contents and the chapter synopsis in a very unique way, I think. Okay, so step one, right? This just say toxin up method is a simple 8-step process that helps authors use your table of contents and your chapter synopsis to write your book efficiently, quickly, and purposefully. All right. I just used my method, this method, to finish writing Didn't See That Coming. I have 4 chapters finished. I needed to finish 10 more. I have 14 chapters. I had backed myself up to a month and a half. But because I had this, I had used this method, I was able to do it. Okay, so step one, you want your information in your chapters to be, you're going to put the information in logical order and then creatively name the chapters. So when we're talking about you guys who are using your storyboard, your table of contents includes the information that's going to go in the book, right? And on your storyboard, you should have that information, right? Here are the things that are going in my book. So to make your table of contents, take those things, those sticky notes, and put them in logical order, right? Whatever that logical order is for you. For novelists, those sticky notes now are going to go in the order of your storyline. And so that will become your table of contents. Even as a novelist, you can you can name the chapters. I've read plenty of novels where the chapters have titles. All right. Every year I taught Lord of the Flies. Right. We're still teaching that. I read it when I was in the 9th grade. Okay. Still teaching Lord of the Flies. Every chapter has a title to the chapter. So you're going to put your chapters in logical order. If you entitle the chapters, entitle them creatively. Okay. So that maybe your titles are, they all begin with the same letter, or it's the same part of speech, or maybe each title is a question or something like that, right? And because remember, your table of contents also continues the promise of this book to your reader. Okay. When people look at the table of contents, they can see, yes, 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 this is what I need. All right. So logical order, creatively named. Then step 2, you're going to write. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, this is not step 2 yet. This is an example of step 1. Okay, so for my book, A Woman God Can Hear, right? Each chapter is a person in the Bible who got Jesus to stop, right? Who got caught his ear. So here would be maybe my sticky notes on that. Now I have named these chapters. This is one set that might be the titles, but I've also named the chapters in this way. So blind Bartimaeus, I could say he says, I want to see. Or Jesus stops for those needing vision. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with the chapter titles. I think I might go here with Jesus stops for, or, Jesus will hear you if, right, you need vision or something. I haven't figured it out. Those who have already tried everything else. That's the woman with the issue of blood, right? Those not ashamed to go out on a limb in regards to their faith. That's Zacchaeus, right? Those outcast by society. That's the leper. So, right, creatively named, some kind of logical order.
And could you help us fill, somehow I'm not connecting what's on there on the step 1, step 2. So like where you have the L blank, O blank.
This is still step 1.
Right. So we're still in that one right now.
Right.
Okay.
Logical order, creatively named.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Okay, now step 2. Right? Write a 1-paragraph synopsis. That's your OPS. Write a 1-paragraph synopsis for each chapter. So on your storyboard, of course, you get this from what your sticky notes say underneath each chapter, right? What's going to go in the chapter. All right, so I'm going to use the woman with the issue of blood as the example. So here's my paragraph. The woman with the issue of blood. We try everything else we can think of before turning to Jesus for help. But when we finally do turn to him, there's a difference between thronging Jesus and touching him. Approach Jesus with anticipation of what he can do, what he can and will do. We touch Jesus in different ways, in our suffering, by our unity, in our cries for others, and because of our sin. So that's what I want to include in the chapter about the woman with the issue of blood. Okay? So your chapter synopsis is a paragraph of what you want to include in that chapter. So that's nonfiction. For fiction, your chapter synopsis is basically, again, the storyline, how far the story is going to go, right? In that chapter, we're going to go from here to here. Like what's happening. Okay, are we all together? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Step 3. Take each title and synopsis and place it on a different page of your manuscript. So DP is different page. So in my computer, I like to use these charts, and I'll put things in a chart like this. And so my paragraphs will be over maybe in these sides or what have you. But everything that I have, everything that I want that's going to be in that chapter, I'm going to take it and separate it out. So I have on one page in my computer, here's this information that's going in chapter 1, my title of the chapter and my chapter synopsis on page 1. And then I'm going to hit a page break. Now here's what's going to be in chapter 2. Page break. Here's what's going to be in chapter 3. You follow me? Yes? Okay. I think that's a yes. All right. Step 4. For each chapter, separate the synopsis by each point being made. So now I have my synopsis for each chapter on a separate computer page, right? It's in one document, but it's on a separate page. So now I'm going to go back to chapter 1, and I'm going to take that paragraph, and now I'm going to separate that paragraph into the points that I'm making in the paragraph. So here you go. So here's my paragraph of the chapter synopsis. I just read it to you. So notice I put in different colors the different points I'm making throughout the paragraph. The first point I'm going to make is that we try everything else we can think of when we need help. See, so number 1, what we try before we turn to Jesus. The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between thronging Jesus and touching him. So there's my number 2. The next thing is all these 4 things about how we touch Jesus in different ways. In our suffering, number 3, we touch Jesus in our suffering. Number 4, we touch Jesus by our unity. We touch Jesus in our cries for others. We touch Jesus because of our sin. So you take this paragraph and you make it a list. Right? Okay. Next. Step 5. Type PIER vertically under each point. So here's what we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it will still go straight down. I just ran out, I couldn't put it on the screen, but it'll go straight down. What we try before we turn to Jesus, PIER. The difference between thronging and touching, PIER, right? So you just go straight down. I'm going to explain PIER, obviously. Okay, this is step 5. Type that in. Okay. Step 6, fill in the details. So now, Before I get to step 6, let me tell you what PIER stand for in step 5. P stands for point. What is the point? I stands for instruction. E is example. And R is reference. Okay, so for every point that you're making, now most of the time, whatever you have by the number is going to be the point. All right. So the point of this section is that we try everything, we try all kinds of stuff before we turn to Jesus. That's the point. Right. Now you're going to fill in. So now, what instruction do I want to give to my readers regarding that point? So what would that instruction be?
Maybe scripture to start with?
Nope.
No. Oh.
The scripture's going to come in. That's another one of the
Go
letters.
to him first.
What say it? Who was that?
Go to him first.
Exactly. Right? My instruction might be, to realize you're wasting your time.
Exactly.
Doing all these other things, go to Jesus first. All right. What example am I going to use? What's the obvious example I'm going to use?
Jesus.
No. Look at the name of the chapter.
Oh, the woman with the issue of blood.
Right. This is where I'm going to relate the story. Right? Now, I could also have an example of when I tried something, I tried everything else. Right? First, or a bunch of things that I tried. I could have a friend who tried a whole bunch of things. Maybe there's a historical figure who tried a whole bunch of things before he turned to Jesus. Right? So whatever the example is, or the examples are that I want to use, I would jot it in there. And then somebody said it already. What could be my references? Somebody said it already.
Scripture.
Right. Right. Are there any scriptures, right, that tell me to go straight to Jesus? Right.
Matthew 6:33.
Yes. See, seek
Right.
first, right? The kingdom, right? So the references could be scriptures. References could be Dr. So-and-so says this, right? It could be something you saw in the news, right? That you're referring to. The reason for references is, again, this is not just your idea. Okay. You have backup on these things that you're saying. All right. Now, if you build out each one of these sections in the chapter by using this peer, right? You're going to bring your audience in to what it is you're talking about. You're going to move them to do something about what you're talking about. All right. You're going to give them the why they ought to do it. All of that works. Now you can write these sections, you can peer in any order, and you should. The whole book should not be. Now the point is, and the instruction is, and the example is, and the reference is. No, you might start one section with the instruction and then write the rest of the section by kind of backing up why that works. You might start a section with the reference instead of starting with it with the point. The section may start with the example. So you're going to mix this up. But in each section of the book, you're going to hit all of these things that hit everything that your audience will need. Okay? And if you fill these in with what you're going to refer to, right? If you just have an hour one day, you could just write out this section. And then the next day you might have enough time to do 3 more, or 1 more or whatever, right? But you don't fill it out as you're writing it. You do these in advance of you coming back to write. And this helps you, for example, not double up on an example that you used in chapter 2, and then you forgot you used it in chapter 2, and you can go, you use that same example in chapter 10, or whatever. Okay, so fill in the details. So here's an example of part 3, right? We touch Jesus in our suffering. All right, so my point is, Jesus loved to respond to those around him who were suffering. And I have then 2 subpoints under that. Suffering and death were unable to exist in his presence. He who had created all things perfect repelled the imperfect, sadness, and disease. The instruction for this section is turn your suffering over to Jesus and act in accordance with his deliverance, right? I can use any miracle Bible story. I'll probably use one about, when he told somebody, take up your bed and walk, because I talk about acting in accordance to the deliverance. And then I'm going to put in the actual reference. Or maybe my example could be my own healing story, right? Or what have you. Whatever I write in, I'm going to fill that in. Okay. Step 7. Now you compose each section of the chapter, including Peer, in each section. Now you're going to just write it out. Subheadings, creatively name the subheadings even, including those special features that your proposal said was going to be in the book. You make sure all of that goes into this extended outline. So step 7 is compose. So actually write each section. Okay, subheadings. How do you creatively name subheadings? So throughout the book, just like in the Bible, things are separated into chapters, right? But then the subheadings are not biblical. That's what the publishers put in the Bible. Even those chapters are not biblical, right? The original manuscripts were not written with chapters and verses, right? When the Bible was published, then publishers put those things in so that we could read it more easily. So when you're writing your book, put in your subheadings. You have your headings and your chapters, but now each of your sections are separated out, so use subheadings. So start maybe with the same letter. All of your subheadings begin with the same letter. So here's an example, the difference, part 2 of that chapter, the difference between thronging Jesus and touching Jesus. Well, number 1, so what we try before we turn to Jesus, I'm going to call that searching, right? Then we touch Jesus in our suffering. So I'm going to call that section suffering. We touch Jesus by our unity, call that sameness. We touch Jesus in our cries for others, selflessness. We touch Jesus because of our sin, and then sin. So now in my book, I'm actually going to have these things that are in gold. Those are going to be my subheadings for those parts of that chapter. Right, so I've thought through how to word this now. Okay, maybe all of your chapter headings rhyme. Right? Maybe they're all the same part of speech. Affliction, connection, attention, correction. All right? So your readers can easily follow. Maybe they're the same type of phrase. A prepositional phrase or something. All right. Special features that could go in the book. Think of including, so this is number 3 down at step 8, special features. So think of including questions. You might want to put them at the end of the chapter, or you might put them throughout. That's what I do. I use these special features throughout the chapters so that my readers are engaged with the book page by page, right? Okay, perhaps you have sections that are journaling sections. Women like that one. Okay. Okay. Give an assignment of some kind. Rather than printing, say, the Bible verse in the book, have them go read that verse. All right. Okay, have some kind of activity. I know someone I know has the coloring Bible. And then, you know, it's got the Bible and then it's got places on the page where you can color. I guess you're staying there while you meditate or something. It's cool. I like to color. Perhaps there's, again, scripture passages that you bring up. These are all special features. All right, prayer stops along the way. They've just read a section that's kind of deep. You suggest in the book, stop right now and pray for, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, I told you you were not getting away without seeing my grandbabies. All right. So this is Dallas, he's the oldest, and this is Miss Jordan, who dresses herself.
Oh my goodness, so precious.
And she loves sunglasses. So we constantly send her all kinds of different sunglasses. And this is baby Taj. So
How old are they?
this is an old picture, but Dallas is going to be 7 in October. Jordan will be 4 on the 4th of July. So we should have known that we had a firecracker.
So you always have the biggest party for her, right? Everybody
We
celebrates.
should have known we had a firecracker. And then Taj will be 2 in September. So Nana is going to everybody's birthday this year because I missed last year going to anybody's. And so I'll be back and forth to New Orleans. Those are my babies. Okay. So remember to just say Toxinop, right? As you are writing your book. All right. So we got about 4 minutes. So let's talk. What do you have to say? How you feeling? you in shock? Or does this make things
That's
work?
Depressing.
Deborah, what's depressing?
No, I said decompressing, not
Oh,
depressing.
decompressing.
Not at all. No. It was very informative, and very step by step,
great.
very doable way to accomplish it.
Good.
Absolutely. Simple.
Writing a book, they say it's hard. Pish tosh, right? Nedra, why are you? Nedra's been laughing.
Like, this will be accomplished, but I might be a little slower than some other people.
That's okay. That's okay.
I want to know.
Peer is not original. I learned it from going to class seminars, which were done conducted by Florence Littauer and her daughter Marita actually came up with this acronym when we were discussing. She was trying to tell us how to make our writing stand out, right? And a pier stands out in the water. You can see it, right? Very clearly, right? So that's where that acronym came from. I write all of my books and sermons using peer,
Oh,
right? So you
that
can
help.
remember it, right? It's gonna stay in your brain. And that's the idea, okay? Any other, I see, okay, any other comments? We're
What
supposed,
was the TOC for again? Sorry to ask. I might have came in just a little late and missed that. TOC, or no, I was here for that part, but I guess I missed it.
TOC is the easiest, table of contents.
Right. Okay. I just must have missed that on the front. Okay.
On the front end.
What's
Thank
step
you.
2? Write AOMP.
Step
missed
2,
I was doing dog duty.
okay, I'm gonna ask the class. What did you take your notes?
Yes, write a 1-paragraph synopsis for each
There you go.
chapter.
1 paragraph synopsis,
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, synopsis.
right?
Okay.
Okay. Julius, I can only see the top of your hat. Are you all right today? I can't see your face. All right, you doing good?
Taking it all in.
Julius, are you a pastor?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
That's an interesting
Roxanne.
question.
Okay, Roxanne, but I know my friend's name is not Roxanne. What is your name?
My name is Roxanne.
You're Roxanne, but
I'm
is this,
not your friend.
huh?
I'm offended. I'm not your friend.
No, you are my friend, but your gentleman here.
Oh, he's my tech guy, my husband. I just don't know how to.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to do anything.
All right, I'm thinking he's another writer as well. Okay. All right.
It might turn into one hearing all this stuff. You know.
There you go. There you go. Okay. I just didn't want to leave him out. I know I don't have his name, so I was saying, okay.
His name is Anthony.
Okay, Anthony.
I told you before, I'm a pancreatic cancer survivor, but he's been feeding me and taking care of me for 4 years. He's wonderful.
There you go. All right, Anthony.
I love step 2. I wanted to tell you.
Oh, you love step 2?
Yeah, I'm writing fiction. So
okay.
A lot of what I'm writing about has to do with grief over death of my son. And we're not quite sure what happened to him, kind of a thing. So it's a way for me to heal, but I'm hiding it in a novel.
Excellent. Excellent, Roxanne. Okay. All right. So yes, Heidi.
You were we supposed to send you like you wanted us to do our homework? That was just for discussion.
Yes.
I have so many names. I had the most boring name and now I can't stop writing names. I haven't even gotten to the next step.
That's awesome. I'm gonna give you my website. Those of you who don't have it yet. Okay. So authorize.me.net is my website, right? I do take on clients to teach you stuff, right? This Authorize Me, the classes that you're taking now are some of the classes that are part of my Authorize Me Academy.
I like it.
There you go. Okay. And so go to the website and you can see. So if you want further help beyond the conference, actually at 2:35 in room 1, no, sorry, 5:35 for you all. In room 1, I'm going to be explaining what Authorize Me is. All right. And, but you're getting a taste of what I do with clients. So we would actually be doing this together with your book. Okay. Right.
I gotta say, I'm so ADD, I'm all over the place. And it's amazing how this could structure my brain and keep focus. Because everyone's always saying, cut the detail, because I teach and I preach, you know, I you know, in my congregation, I'm doing that. And I have to write, but I never had a formula, but I have to write things because if not, I just go all over the place.
That's right.
Where are you?
Right. People, you sanguine personalities, right? Who love to have fun. That's me. I'm a sanguine choleric, right? I love to have fun and I love to be in control of the fun. There you go. And so, you know, we frustrate our phlegmatic and melancholy students.
Yes.
Because they want us to calm down. They want us to sit down, just give me the list of what I'm supposed to do and let me do it. And especially the melancholy students, they know that they could get us in order. And they probably can, right? Because they have lists, but because we're choleric, we got that choleric thing, we're not gonna let them take over the classroom. No, forget that. Right? So yeah, I love teaching in the personalities and, you know, bringing that out too. Yeah, and as writers, you guys, we write like that, right? Our sanguine personalities, yes, we write in color, like Liz was talking about this morning with a lot of exclamation points, and it's fabulous, right? But we need to calm down because we will never minister to the phlegmatics and the melancholies unless we calm down. One more thing, Wanda, then we gotta go. Yes.
I actually want to thank you, and I'm so thankful that I have been part of your workshop, because what I found in going to 3 appointments already, that a lot of the questions and the things that you touched on came up. So what I found was that it was excellent preparation, and I'm going to suggest that for future workshops, that maybe it become a prereq for individuals to take your workshop. And I'm not just saying that because it really cultivates a lot of thought, and it does come out during the appointments, and you're better prepared. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, Wanda, you can be my publicist for me to speak at all
Sign
the
me
conferences, for me to be on the faculty of every conference. Amen. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so we got to wrap up. So we'll see you in whatever the next thing is. All right. We'll have a great rest of the day. And tomorrow is our last time together at 10:30.